Good evening, my weary academics, and welcome to History to Sleep By, where we nerd out and conk out. If you enjoy calm, narrated history documentaries, or just need a reliable friend to help with restless nights, please subscribe, leave a like, and maybe share a comment about what's happening in your life. That way, you'll always find your way back to us. Now, let's begin tonight's journey. In the gentle embrace of the Caribbean Sea, where the waters sway between Dominica and Guadeloupe, a significant naval encounter unfolded over the course of 4 days in April 1782. The Battle of the Saints, as it would come to be known, was a clash of titans, with the British fleet under Admiral Sir George Rodney and Rear Admiral Samuel Hood facing the French fleet commanded by the Comte de Grasse. The French, with their eyes set on Jamaica, aimed to shield their convoy in operations, while the British sought to engage them decisively, thwarting any advance toward the prized island. The geography of the Saint, with its narrow channels and shifting winds, played a pivotal role in the unfolding drama. The weather gauge, a term used to describe the advantageous position upwind of the enemy, was a coveted tactical edge in naval warfare. Both fleets maneuvered with precision, their line of battle formations slicing through the azure waters, each captain acutely aware of the stakes at hand. On April 9th, the initial skirmishes began. The fleets danced cautiously, each probing the other's defenses. The winds whispered secrets to those who listened, guiding the ships in their intricate ballet. The British, keen to bring the French to action, pursued with determination. The French, meanwhile, sought to maintain their course, protecting their convoy from any British interference. As the sun rose on April 12th, the main engagement loomed. Rodney's fleet, poised and ready, moved to engage the French with an audacious plan. The winds, ever fickle, shifted at a crucial moment, granting the British a fortuitous advantage. It was then that Rodney executed a bold maneuver known as breaking the line. This tactic involved slicing through the French formation, allowing the British to concentrate their firepower on the French center. The impact was immediate and devastating. The French ships, caught off guard, struggled to maintain cohesion. The British guns roared, their thunderous volleys hammering the French vessels with relentless precision. Amidst the chaos, the French flagship, Îles de Paris, found itself isolated and overwhelmed. The Comte de Grasse, despite his valiant efforts, was captured, marking a turning point in the battle. As the day wore on, the French fleet's resolve began to crumble. Some ships struck their colors, surrendering to the British, while others, damaged and beleaguered, attempted to flee. The British, seizing the momentum, pursued with vigor, capturing several vessels and ensuring their victory was complete. The aftermath of the battle saw the Îles de Paris taken, along with its esteemed commander. Additional French ships were either captured or later succumbed to their wounds. The British, though not without losses, emerged largely intact, their fleet a testament to their naval prowess. This decisive victory had far-reaching implications. With control of the Caribbean firmly in British hands, the French plans against Jamaica were effectively thwarted. The balance of power in the region shifted, the British securing their dominance in these warm waters. As the sun set on the battle's final day, the sea, once a theater of conflict, returned to its tranquil state. The ships, now resting at anchor, bore the scars of their encounter, silent witnesses to the events that had unfolded. The sailors, weary yet triumphant, reflected on their hard-won victory, their thoughts drifting like the gentle waves that lapped against their vessels. In the quiet aftermath, the significance of the Battle of the Saints became clear. It was a testament to the skill and daring of those who commanded the seas, a reminder of the ever-shifting tides of history. As we drift into slumber, let us remember the courage and resolve of those who sailed these waters, their legacy etched into the annals of time. May their stories, like the soothing rhythm of the sea, lull us into a peaceful rest. The morning sun rose gently over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the calm waters where the battle had raged just days before. The air was filled with a sense of renewal, as if the world itself was eager to move forward from the tumultuous events. The sailors, now busy with the routine tasks of ship life, found solace in the familiar rhythms of their duties. They repaired sails, scrubbed decks, and tended to the wounds of both ship and crew, each action a step towards restoring normalcy. Amidst the bustle, the officers gathered to discuss the future. Their victory had not only secured a strategic advantage, but had also shifted the balance of power in the Caribbean. The French fleet, once a formidable presence, was now significantly weakened. This triumph, however, was not merely a military achievement. It was a reassurance, a message sent across the seas that the British Empire remained a force to be reckoned with. As the ships prepared to set sail once more, the sailors took a moment to honor their fallen comrades. A solemn ceremony was held on deck, where words of remembrance were spoken softly, carried away by the gentle breeze. The sea, which had claimed so many lives, now served as a resting place, a vast, eternal grave for those who had given their all. Their sacrifice was not in vain. It was woven into the fabric of this victory, a silent testament to their bravery. With the ceremonies concluded, the fleet began its journey homeward. The ships moved with a quiet grace, their sails catching the wind as they cut through the water. The journey was long, but the promise of home kept spirits high. Each day brought them closer to the familiar shores they longed to see. The sailors shared stories of their exploits, their laughter mingling with the sound of the waves. These tales, passed from one generation to the next, would become part of the rich tapestry of naval lore. On the horizon, the outline of land gradually emerged, a welcome sight for eyes weary of endless blue. As they approached the harbor, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Families gathered on the docks, eager to welcome their loved ones back from the brink of danger. The ships, with their tattered flags and weathered hulls, were greeted with cheers and tears of joy. It was a moment of reunion, a poignant reminder of the bonds that held them together through the darkest times. Amidst the celebrations, the leaders of the fleet took a moment to reflect on the broader implications of their victory. The Battle of the Saints had not only secured British interests in the Caribbean, but had also reaffirmed their naval supremacy. It was a turning point, one that would shape the course of future conflicts. The lessons learned from this encounter would be studied and remembered, guiding the strategies of those who followed in their wake. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the bustling port, the sailors settled into their new routines. The world beyond the sea awaited them, with its own challenges and opportunities. Yet, in their hearts, they carried the memory of their journey, the camaraderie forged in the heat of battle, and the quiet strength that had seen them through. In the quiet of the night, as the world around them slept, the sailors found peace in the knowledge that they had played a part in shaping history. Their story, like the gentle waves that lapped against the shore, would continue to echo through time. It was a story of courage, of resilience, and of the enduring spirit of those who dared to sail into the unknown. As they drifted into dreams, the rhythm of the sea sang them to sleep, a soothing lullaby of triumph and hope. The morning sun rose gently over the horizon, casting a warm glow across the port. The sailors, now accustomed to the rhythm of life on land, awoke to the sound of seagulls calling above. The air was filled with the scent of salt and the promise of a new day. As they gathered on the docks, their eyes were drawn to the ships that had carried them across vast oceans, vessels that now rested quietly, their sails furled and their masts standing tall against the sky. The town around the port was alive with activity. Merchants set up their stalls, displaying goods from distant lands, spices, silks, and treasures that spoke of adventures far beyond the horizon. The sailors wandered through the bustling market, their hearts full of stories to share and dreams yet to be realized. Each step they took was a reminder of the journey that had brought them here, of the bonds they had formed, and the trials they had overcome. Among the sailors was a young man named Thomas. His eyes, bright with curiosity, took in every detail of the lively scene. He had joined the voyage as a cabin boy, eager to see the world beyond his small village. Now, with the voyage behind him, he found himself drawn to the tales of other travelers, eager to learn more about the world that lay beyond the sea. He listened intently as an old sailor recounted stories of distant lands, of golden cities and mysterious islands where the sun never set. As the day unfolded, Thomas found himself wandering to the edge of the port, where where the sea met the land in a gentle embrace. The waves whispered secrets to the shore, and the breeze carried with it the scent of adventure. He sat on the rocks, gazing out at the endless expanse of water, his mind filled with dreams of future voyages. The sea, vast and unknowable, called to him with a voice that promised both challenge and discovery. Nearby, a group of sailors gathered around a fire, their laughter mingling with the crackle of burning wood. They spoke of home, of families waiting with open arms, and of the joy of returning to familiar shores. Yet, even as they spoke of the comforts of home, there was a shared understanding among them, a knowledge that the sea had changed them, had woven itself into the fabric of their being. They were no longer the men who had set out on this journey. They were sailors, bound by the call of the ocean. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, the sailors made their way back to the ships. The evening air was cool, and the stars began to twinkle above, each one a reminder of the vast universe that lay beyond their reach. The ships, silhouetted against the fading light, stood as silent witnesses to the passage of time, to the journeys undertaken and the dreams yet to be fulfilled. Thomas, standing on the deck of his ship, looked up at the night sky. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey he had been a part of, for the lessons learned and the friendships forged. The sea had taught him much about courage, about resilience, and about the enduring power of hope. As he closed his eyes, he could still hear the gentle lullaby of the waves, a song that promised new adventures and endless possibilities. In the quiet of the night, as the world around him slept, Thomas dreamed of the future. He dreamed of setting sail once more, of exploring new lands and discovering the secrets of the sea. The journey had changed him, had opened his eyes to the wonders of the world, and as he drifted into sleep, he knew that the sea would always be a part of him, a constant companion on the journey of life. The port, now bathed in moonlight, stood as a testament to the spirit of adventure that had brought the sailors here. It was a place of beginnings and endings, of farewells and reunions. And as the night wore on, the gentle rhythm of the sea continued its eternal song, a melody of hope and possibility that echoed through the hearts of all who dared to dream. In the quietude of the port, where the whispers of the sea mingled with the rustling of the night breeze, the ships lay anchored like silent sentinels. Their masts reached skyward, silhouetted against the star-studded heavens, as if yearning to touch the cosmos. Each vessel bore the marks of countless voyages, tales etched into their wooden hulls by the relentless embrace of the ocean. These ships were more than mere constructs of timber and sail. They were vessels of dreams, carrying the hopes and aspirations of those who dared to traverse the vast unknown. As the night deepened, the gentle lapping of the waves against the dock seemed to weave a tapestry of stories, each ripple a thread in the grand narrative of exploration. The sea, ever enigmatic, held within its depths secrets untold, mysteries that beckoned to the curious and the brave. It was a realm of endless possibilities, where the horizon promised new worlds and adventures yet to be imagined. For Thomas, the sea was a muse, an eternal source of inspiration that fueled his dreams of discovery. In the stillness, the port was a world unto itself, a microcosm of human endeavor and ambition. The air was imbued with the faint scent of salt and tar, a reminder of the labor and toil that went into preparing for each journey. The sailors, now resting in their hammocks, had entrusted their fates to the capricious whims of the sea, their lives intertwined with the ebb and flow of the tides. They were a brotherhood forged by shared experiences, bound by the knowledge that each voyage was both a test and a testament to their resilience. The moon, a silent guardian, cast its silvery glow upon the water, illuminating the path for those who ventured into the night. It was a beacon of hope, a guiding light for the weary and the lost. Under its watchful gaze, the port seemed to breathe with a life of its own, a living entity that pulsed with the rhythm of the sea. It was a place where dreams took flight, where the impossible became possible, and where the boundaries of the known world were ever expanding. For Thomas, the sea was not just a destination, but a journey in itself. It was a teacher, imparting lessons in humility and perseverance, in courage and camaraderie. Each wave that crashed against the bow was a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead, but also of the triumphs that awaited those who dared to face them. The sea was a mirror, reflecting the innermost desires and fears of those who sailed upon it, revealing truth that could only be discovered in its vastness. As the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, the port stirred to life once more. The night had passed, but the dreams it had inspired lingered in the hearts of those who had dared to dream. The sailors, now waking from their slumber, prepared to face the day with renewed vigor, their spirits buoyed by the promise of adventure. The sea, ever constant, awaited them, its surface shimmering with the golden hues of the rising sun. Thomas, too, awoke with a sense of purpose, his heart filled with the knowledge that the journey was far from over. The sea called to him, its siren song a reminder of the wonders that lay beyond the horizon. It was a call he could not ignore, a summons to explore the unknown and to seek out the secrets that lay hidden beneath the waves. The port, once again bathed in the light of a new day, stood as a gateway to the world, a threshold between the familiar and the extraordinary. And so, with the dawn came the promise of new beginnings, of journeys yet to be undertaken and stories yet to be told. The sea, ever patient, awaited the next chapter in its eternal saga, ready to embrace those who dared to venture into its depths. For Thomas, and for all who heard its call, the sea was a constant companion, a source of endless wonder and possibility. As the day unfolded, the port hummed with the energy of a new adventure, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who dared to dream. Thomas stood at the edge of the bustling port, the salty breeze ruffling his hair as he watched the ships sway gently against their moorings. The sound of seagulls echoed above, mingling with the chatter of sailors and merchants preparing for the day's endeavors. Each vessel seemed to whisper tales of distant lands, of treasures both tangible and intangible, waiting to be discovered by those bold enough to seek them. His heart swelled with a mix of anticipation and nostalgia, for he knew that each journey carried with it the weight of countless stories, woven together by the hands of time. The sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the cobblestone streets that wound through the port town. The scent of fresh bread from a nearby bakery mingled with the briny air, creating a comforting aroma that spoke of home. Yet for Thomas, the call of the sea was ever present, a gentle tug at his soul urging him to leave the safety of the shore and embrace the unknown. He had spent many years learning the ways of the ocean, studying its moods and mysteries, and now he felt ready to embark on a voyage of his own. As he made his way through the throng of people, he caught sight of familiar faces, friends, and fellow adventurers who shared his passion for exploration. They greeted him with nods and smiles, their eyes reflecting the same spark of curiosity that burned within him. Together they formed a silent pact, a shared understanding that the sea held the answers to questions they had yet to ask. It was a bond forged not by words, but by a shared longing to uncover the secrets of the world. Thomas paused at the end of the dock, his gaze fixed on the horizon, where the sky met the water in a seamless blend of blue. He felt the weight of history in that moment, the knowledge that countless others had stood where he stood, their dreams carried on the same winds that now tousled his hair. The sea had been a witness to their triumphs and tragedies, a silent keeper of their legacies. It was a humbling thought, and yet it filled him with a sense of purpose, a desire to add his own chapter to the endless narrative of exploration. The ship he had chosen for this journey was a sturdy vessel, its sails billowing like the wings of a great bird eager to take flight. The crew, seasoned and capable, moved with practiced efficiency, their movements a dance of coordination and skill. Thomas felt a surge of gratitude for their presence, knowing that each one played a vital role in the success of their expedition. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, their fates intertwined by the shared goal of discovery. As the final preparations were made, Thomas took a moment to reflect on the path that had led him here. He thought of the stories his grandfather had told him as a child, tales of daring explorers and uncharted territories that had ignited his imagination and set him on this course. Those stories had been his first glimpse into the vastness of the world, a reminder that there was always more to learn, more more to see. And now, as he prepared to set sail, he felt a deep sense of gratitude for the legacy that had inspired him to follow his dreams. The call to board echoed across the dock, a signal that the time had come to leave the safety of the harbor and venture into the unknown. Thomas took a deep breath, savoring the moment, before stepping onto the ship that would carry him into the future. The deck felt solid beneath his feet, a reassuring presence as the vessel began to move away from the shore. He watched as the familiar landscape of the port town slowly receded, replaced by the endless expanse of the ocean. With each passing moment, the ship gained speed, propelled by the wind and the determination of those on board. The sea stretched out before them, vast and mysterious, its surface shimmering in the sunlight. Thomas felt a thrill of excitement as he realized that this was the beginning of a new chapter, a journey that held the promise of discovery and adventure. The horizon beckoned, a line that marked the boundary between the known and the unknown, and he felt a deep sense of peace as he embraced the possibilities that lay ahead. As the ship sailed onward, Thomas stood at the bow, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The sea, ever patient and ever watchful, was his constant companion, a source of inspiration and wonder. He knew that the journey would not always be easy, that there would be challenges to face and obstacles to overcome, but he also knew that the rewards would be worth the effort, that the knowledge and experiences gained would enrich his life in ways he could not yet imagine. And so, with a heart full of hope and a spirit eager for adventure, Thomas set sail into the unknown, ready to write his own story in the annals of history. The sea, with its endless possibilities and timeless beauty, awaited him, a reminder that the world was vast and full of wonder and that there was always more to explore, more to discover. As the ship disappeared into the distance, the port stood as a silent witness to the beginning of a new journey, a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream. The ship creaked gently as it cut through the waves, its sails billowing in the brisk sea breeze. Thomas stood at the bow, gazing out over the vast expanse of ocean that stretched endlessly before him. The salty air filled his lungs, invigorating him with each breath. Around him, the crew moved with practiced ease, their voices mingling with the sound of the wind and the rhythmic slap of water against the hull. It was a symphony of the sea, a melody that spoke of freedom and adventure. The journey was not without its moments of solitude. Long stretches of open water offered little in the way of distraction, leaving Thomas alone with his thoughts. He often found himself reflecting on the decision that had brought him here, to this point on the map where land was but a distant memory. Each day was a step further from the familiar, a step closer to the unknown. Yet in that unknown lay the promise of discovery, of new lands and new experiences waiting just beyond the horizon. As days turned into weeks, the ship became a world unto itself. The crew, once strangers, became a community bound by shared purpose and mutual reliance. They worked together, ate together, and faced the challenges of the sea as one. Storms tested their resolve, battering the ship with wind and rain, but they emerged stronger each time, their spirits unbroken. In the quiet moments that followed, they would gather to share stories, tales of past voyages and distant shores, each one a thread in the tapestry of their shared adventure. Thomas was drawn to these stories, listening intently as the older sailors recounted their experiences. There was wisdom in their words, lessons learned from years spent navigating the unpredictable waters of life. He absorbed their tales like a sponge, storing them away for the days when he would need guidance or inspiration. In return, he shared his own dreams and aspirations, his vision of the future he hoped to build. It was a future shaped by the sea, by the vastness of the world and the endless possibilities it held. The ship sailed on, guided by the stars that sparkled like diamonds in the night sky. Thomas often found himself on deck during these quiet hours, the cool air brushing against his skin as he watched the heavens above. The constellations were familiar friends, their patterns a map that had guided sailors for centuries. He marveled at the thought that he was part of a long tradition, a lineage of explorers who had looked to the stars for direction and found their way across the oceans. Landfall came at last, a distant smudge on the horizon that grew steadily larger as the ship approached. Excitement buzzed through the crew, a palpable energy that lifted their spirits and quickened their pace. Thomas felt it too, a thrill of anticipation that set his heart racing. This was the moment he had dreamed of, the culmination of weeks at sea. As the ship drew closer, the details of the new land came into focus, revealing a landscape both strange and beautiful. The anchor dropped with a splash, and the ship came to rest in the sheltered waters of a quiet bay. Thomas stood at the rail, taking in the scene before him. Lush greenery lined the shore, a vibrant contrast to the deep blue of the ocean. The air was filled with unfamiliar scents, a blend of earth and sea that spoke of a place untouched by time. It was a world waiting to be explored, a canvas upon which he could paint the next chapter of his journey. Setting foot on land was a moment both exhilarating and surreal. The ground felt solid beneath his feet, a stark contrast to the rolling deck of the ship. Thomas took a deep breath, savoring the richness of the air, the sense of possibility that hung in the balance. Around him, the crew busied themselves with preparations, their movements purposeful and efficient. There was work to be done, supplies to be gathered, and plans to be made. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the landscape, Thomas found a quiet spot to sit and reflect. The journey had brought him here, to this place of new beginnings. He thought of the challenges he had faced, the lessons he had learned, and the dreams that had carried him across the sea. This was just the beginning, a single step in a journey that would continue to unfold, guided by the winds of fate and the choices he would make. The night settled in, wrapping the world in a gentle embrace. Stars blinked into existence, their light a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the endless possibilities it held. Thomas felt a deep sense of peace, a quiet certainty that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The sea had brought him here, to this place of wonder and discovery, and he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. With a heart full of hope and a spirit eager for adventure, he looked to the future, knowing that the journey was far from over.